Hi, I'm Kathy. Welcome to my channel, and this is your full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn card reading. So if you are not familiar with the astrology of the lunar eclipse, lunar eclipses happen during the full moon, and so this full moon lunar eclipse happens to be in Capricorn. It is at 14 degrees. If you're familiar with numerology, 1 + 4 = 5. 5 is a number of change and freedom. And this happens to be the 5th eclipse in Capricorn. So the way that eclipses work, as far as eclipses being in signs, the eclipses are always in the signs that the North Node and the South Node are in. So over the last 2 years, before, I think it was June 5th, the North Node was in Cancer and the South Node was in Capricorn. And so on June 5th, it might have been a little bit earlier than that, I can't remember, but the nodes, the North Node moved into Gemini and the South Node moved into Sagittarius. So this lunar eclipse in Capricorn is the last eclipse in the Cancer Capricorn nodes. And so what that means is we are essentially wrapping things up that have been happening to resolve like our karma. The South Node is the past karma, like things that we need to release, that we need to resolve so that we can move forward to what lies in the North Node, which was Cancer. Capricorn is very much about authority, and Cancer is about the home and nurturing. And so as you can see in society right now, even on a global scale with government, economy, medical stuff, systemic disparity, there are a lot of issues coming up regarding authority, the way that authority is used and the way that authority is misused. And so with this, lunar eclipse in Capricorn, because it's a full moon, we're being called to release things. Full moons are always about release, and lunar eclipses are about endings, just like full moons, ending and release, allowing cycles to end, allowing things to release, kind of like the saying, when one door closes, another door opens. And that's really kind of what the reading is going to center on. Also, eclipses bring to light the things that have been hiding in the dark. This is true of full moons as well. So, when the moon is the fullest, it's really, really bright in the sky at nighttime, and in the night, the things of the dark happen. Not saying that like only bad things happen at night, but, that's when the sky is the darkest. That's when the day is the darkest. So the things that we do in the dark, in secret, when there's a full moon, it gets exposed. And because this lunar eclipse is happening, lunar eclipses happen with full moons, solar eclipses happen with new moons. And so because of this lunar eclipse, things that have been happening in the dark, having to do with authority and power, are being exposed. So that's kind of the background on the eclipse, this full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn. The reading is going to be really comprehensive. I typically don't use this many decks of cards, so what I have for you today is 3 cards from the Psychic Tarot. I've got 3 cards from the Santa Muerta deck. The cards from the Psychic Tarot will be kind of a generic overall card reading for the eclipse for you. The cards from the Santa Muerta deck are the things that we need to release, the things that we need to let go, or the ways that we have an imbalance of power in our life, the way that we are misusing authority or power, or the way that we are allowing authority or power to be misused against us. It's going to illuminate some imbalances, things we need to release and things we need to let go. And I've also pulled an oracle card from the Power of Surrender deck to pair with the Santa Muerta cards that I pulled. And then the things that we are moving towards, as I said, when one door closes, another door opens. So once we really embrace releasing the things that are not good for us, I want to know the things for you, for me, for all of us that are coming, that are of good, of the highest good for us. And so I've pulled cards from the Tarot Mucha, as well as the Super Attractor Oracle deck. So if you just want to take a couple moments, this is a pick a card reading. If you just want to take a couple moments to look at the 3-card decks, the 3-card piles, sorry, that I'm offering, and figure out which one feels right for you. Granted, they all look similar, but just use your intuition to pick the reading that feels best, 1, 2, or 3. So I will give you a few moments to decide now. If you picked card reading number 1, here's your reading. So the first card that I have for you is Stand Your Ground. So as we can see, this is pretty much, like, this really looks like what the lunar eclipse will look like in the sky. I forgot to mention it is on July 4th and 5th. And because it's a lunar eclipse, there's going to be kind of this reddish glow to the moon, which is really just beautiful. And we can see the light behind it, you know, this glow. So during this 2-year eclipse season, like, what you've been called to do, to understand, to get in the habit of, is standing your ground, you know, standing up for yourself, learning how to use your voice, you know, learning how to really examine your mindset to understand if the things that you believe are the things that were fed to you as beliefs, or if they are the things that you truly believe in, that you want to hold a belief in. 7 in numerology is the number of spirit, of God, of source. So I am hoping that for you over this 2-year period that you've really learned how to connect with your intuition, that you've learned how to connect with the higher power that you believe in, because that's where ultimately where our power and our wisdom and our discernment come from, is from a higher source, whether it's our higher self, our future self, God's source, spirit, whatever it is that you believe in. So this is the first card for you for the general eclipse reading. The second card is, it's a major arcana card. This is the number 16 card, and this is disruption. And so as we can see with this card, I'm gonna let it focus for just a second. This person is really, they're kind of discombobulated. Like, we can see that this part of them is shifted over, this is shifted this way, like they're not in alignment. And, you know, there's this kind of light, this glow in the background. And when we look at his face, this man is very much in pain. Disruption can be related to the Tower card. So over the last 2 years, there were probably a lot of things that fell away for you. There's probably things now that you notice are falling away. There's things that are crumbling because you could not live out of alignment with yourself for much longer. This is a number 16 card. 1 + 6 is 7. Just like this card. You know, that number of God, source, spirituality. And, you know, we can see with all this chaos that's going on here, there's this light underneath, that there is a light, that, you know, this disruption is happening because these things need to fall away, because you are not able to see the light, the purity that is there, that's been kind of blocked and hidden from you. It's really almost like this person's been locked away, or that they've chosen to lock themselves away. Because when we look at this card, you know, he's not shackled. It almost looks like shackles, but these are the cuffs of his shirt. He's choosing to keep himself bound up. He's not shackled, he's not trapped. You know, here with his legs, like the legs are in alignment. He can move out of this space anytime he wants to, but sometimes we will allow ourselves to sit in the pain of disruption, because as human beings, we learn from contrast. You know, we learn what sweet tastes like because we know what salty tastes like. We've learned what cold it feels like because we know what hot feels like. You know, for this person, like for you, being in discomfort for a period of time is teaching you that you have the power to make the choices to move out of that discomfort. But as human beings, we seek comfort, you know, and so until you got uncomfortable enough, there was no incentive to move or change or shift what was happening in order to get yourself in alignment. And the third card that I have for you is another major arcana card, and this is the Power card. This is a card, the card that's associated with strength in the traditional tarot. You know, we've got the lion face here and the man that, in my opinion, looks like Anthony Hopkins. But, you know, the card of Power is really a card of, you know, of balancing. We've got this wild animal, the lion, that has such an extreme force of power, and then we've got this gentleman here that's a king who knows how to temper himself. He knows how to make wise decisions. He knows how to weigh the pros and cons before he takes action. And so this Power card is really kind of going back to, you know, what I explained with this card of contradictions. Like, you have learned how to be in your power because you've gone from maybe hyper reacting to things to really sitting and contemplating what is the best thing for you to do. And so because you've learned through these contrasts of like hyper reactivity, overreactivity, to very calmly reacting, you now understand what your power is. So this is the reading over the course of the 2 years of the eclipse cycle that we've been through, that you've been through. So for the things that need to be released, the first card that I pulled for you is Page of Swords. And so this card, the page, is it's an announcement. You know, the page brings an announcement from, you know, king, queen, whoever. And he's got this scroll here, you know, so he's really writing some things out. And swords are about mindset. And so what this card is calling you to do is to release your old mindset about things, because you've come into a new way of power. You are a different person now. You're operating differently. And so you're being called to really determine the new way that you want to think, speak, act, react to things. You know, so but because he's literally writing, I would highly suggest writing down the things that you want for yourself, you know, as we end this eclipse portal, as you move into this new space, because eclipses are about really rapid change. So you have this opportunity to literally pen, to write down the new way that you want to operate, the new mindsets you want to have, whether that is, you know, committing to letting go of a negative mindset, committing to letting go of fear being your primary mode of operation, whether that is committing to a meditation practice, if that's committing to even affirmations. Like I'm a big fan of affirmations. So around like my bedroom, especially my bathroom, there's little cards that I've created, and sometimes they're just post-it notes that I write things on that I'll see, because the more we see things, like when we see them, it can either be a trigger to remind us of something, just like a post-it note, you know, like, oh yeah, I have to get milk. Or it can be something that, you know, we kind of intentionally decide, when I see this note, I will read it. You know, and one of the ones that I had posted for a very long time was, I am safe, I am loved. Because I had a lot of uncertainty and upheaval happen in my life last year, and I didn't feel grounded and I didn't feel safe. Uncertainty makes me feel really unsafe. And so just having that note there, I am safe, I am loved, to me was this reminder that even when things feel scary and uncertain, there's a higher power that is holding me, that's directing my steps for the highest, best good, and that I'm loved. Because there are times that, you know, there are times that really negative things can happen to us. There are times that we can experience like deep disruption, and it feels like our ego tells us that we're being punished, that we've done something wrong, that if we had just turned right instead of turning left, we wouldn't be in this pain. And that's not true. You know, like, we are loved and held by a higher power that will put us through things that we don't like, because it is for our highest good. So, if affirmations are something that feels right for you, if just journaling is something that feels right for you, but you're being called to take a look at your mindset and call in a new mindset. The other thing that we're being asked to release is this Eight of Cups card. And so we can see she's got this crown of cups, you know, above her head, but, you know, her demeanor, her body language is kind of sad. She's looking down. She's kind of got her hands over her mouth that she's kind of contemplating. But there's a darkness about this. And the number 8 is about abundance, you know, and that it's almost like she's taking for granted, because she can't literally see them, she's taking for granted all these cups that she has in her life. Cups are about love. They can also be about energy. And so, you know, the thing that we're being called to release is the parts of our life where we do not hold gratitude for the things that we have. You know, if you believe in the law of attraction, the law of attraction says that when we get into a vibrational frequency, when we essentially feel positive feelings that we've experienced before, we call in more of those positive feelings. Or if we feel negative feelings that we have experienced before, we call in more of those. So if you are in a space of discontent, if you're in a space of feeling like things are good but it's still not enough, this card is really calling you to release that. This card is encouraging you to look at things with fresh eyes and find the places that you can be grateful for what is in your life. The surrender card that I pulled for you is surrender to passion. So get out of your head and feel the fire in your belly. Focus on the people or activities that ignite your passion and let it flow. So sometimes, like, this discontentment can be because there's this lack of excitement, this lack of stimulus, or stimulation, not stimulus. I'm thinking about money. This lack of stimulation. And so we're being called to surrender to passion. So if you are not sure what your passion is, really think about what makes you feel good. You know, whether that's exercise, whether that's talking to your friends, whether that's watching funny movies. You know, we all have a passion. And I feel like this card is even, you know, it's got some sexual overtones to it, but really looking for and surrendering to the thing that kind of creates this spark for you, the thing that brings you joy, the thing that brings you those really good feelings, whether it's food, whether it's daydreaming about when you can travel again, whether it's documentaries, whether it's learning, whatever it is, allowing yourself to get out of your head and focus on what makes your body feel good, focusing on the people and activities that ignite your passion. So that's your surrender card. The things that are being called in for us, the good things that are coming for us, once we're able to let go of that old mindset, once we're able to let go of the discontentment in our lives, once we're able to really surrender to the things that excite us, is Hangman reversed. So this is the traditional Hangman, but Hangman reverse is just letting us know that period of stuckness that we were in, you know, those feelings of discontentment, you know, once we release those, we're going to be able to move forward. Because Hangman reversed is, he's upright, he has got this light behind him, he knows exactly where he wants to go now, his eyes are looking forward, and he's just kind of taking a pause before he takes off. You know, this is almost like this kind of cartoonish version of you know, right before maybe like the coyote starts chasing the roadrunner, like he's got a leg up and he's about to take off. So this is what is coming as soon as you are able to release those things that no longer serve you. The other card is another major arcana card, and it's the Sun. You know, that once you're able to release this kind of melancholy, discontentment, kind of blah, things could be better, I'm not really satisfied, the Sun is going to come in. There's going to be celebration and joy and lightness and positivity. You know, once you allow that door to close, the door that opens is going to be really beautiful, positive things. And the super attractor card that I pulled for you is, instead of worrying about the future, I know all is well when I'm aligned in the moment. And so this card is really just about getting present, like being grateful in the present moment, just being grateful that you have a couple minutes to watch this reading, being grateful that, you know, you've got a little bit of food in the fridge, you've got a little bit of money in your bank account, being grateful that the chaos of the world has calmed down just a little bit, just a tiny bit, you know, and that you don't have to worry, that you just need to be present. You just need to, you know, be in the moment, focus on your breath, just look around you, whatever space you're in, and know that, you know, everything's okay and that Ben is here. So, let's see. You want to sit by me? You want to do a reading with me? I don't know if you can see him. So if you chose card reading number 1, that was your reading. If you chose card reading number 2, Ben is here to help me with the reading. And the first card that I pulled for you is the Two of Pentacles, and this is movement, choices, and decisions. And so as we see, we've got this gentleman here, and he's got these 4 doors to choose from, and they all look like really great options. You know, this one's blue skies, this is bright green growth, this red is, it's 2 rings, it looks like almost like some partnership, and then, you know, this last choice is money. And so over the last 2 years of this eclipse cycle, you've been called to really kind of look at, it feels like prioritizing, balancing things, like deciding what it is that you want, because there's so much abundance around you. There's so many things for you to choose from. What is it that you would like to call in? Would you like to call in more experiences with ease? Would you like to call in more time with nature? Would you like to call in deep partnership? Would you like to call in more money? You know, and really just, this card is giving you an understanding that at any time you have the power to manifest whatever it is that you would like. The next card that I have for you is the Balance card. This is also the Justice card in the Major Arcana. And so again, we've got the 11, which is 1 + 1, and then we've got the 2 here. You know, 2 in numerology is about partnership, it's about balance. Can't with Ben. It's about no, sir. Oh no, bien. It's about deciding where you would like to put your energy in a way that works best for you. With this Balance card, this Justice card, excuse me, the message is that things are being brought into balance for you. That because you understand what your power is to manifest the things that you want, universe, God, source, spirit is helping you to bring things into balance, is helping you to prioritize. And as we can see with this Justice card, there's every element of the tarot. There's the Swords, which is the mind, Cups, which is love, Pentacles, which is time, money, energy, and then the Wands, which is about action. You know, and so this kind of white light arc is just affirming that, you know, because you understand your power now, Source is helping you to balance and reprioritize things for your best, highest good. The next card that I have for you is another Pentacles card. It's 4 of Pentacles, and this is a firm foundation. Because we are in a 4 year, 2 + 0 + 2 + 0 is 4. This is really kind of the energy of the year, having this firm foundation, being rooted in yourself. Like this red is very indicative of the root chakra. It's in the lower back, you know, which is all about supporting ourselves. When we are rooted firmly in who we are able to firmly support ourselves. We don't need to ask for information from other people. We don't need encouragement. We don't need validation outside of ourselves. So over the last 2 years, this is really what you've learned. You've learned who you are, what you want. You know how to root yourself in your own energy, if that makes sense. Like your roots, if you're a tree, your roots are very grounded and deep and secure. So that was your general reading for the last 2 years. The things that you need to release is the Empress reversed. So this is the Empress upright. She's very much a queen on her throne, with her, with her majestic chair, her scepter. But the Empress reversed is really about lack. So the Empress is about abundance. Empress reverse is about lack, about uncertainty, like just not being sure where things are going to be coming from, and that's kind of contradictory to what you've been taught over the course of the 2-year eclipse season, that you have so much abundance available to you and that you just get to choose. If you're someone that struggles to make decisions, this energy is not about making the right decision. This energy is about understanding that you can choose anything that you want because anything is available to you. This Empress card that needs to be released is the ego telling you that you have to make the right decision, that there's never enough. If you choose the wrong thing, you won't get enough. You probably don't deserve that, so don't choose that one. And so this is really what needs to be released, like that belief that you're not good enough, there's not enough. Like it's just really like all around this scarcity, whether it's scarcity of things that are external or scarcity of, the internal, that there's not enough, we are not enough, or there is not enough. The next card for you is 4 of Swords. And so this card, the 4 of Swords, is really about rest and repose. But as we can see with this person, he's working. He's not resting. In the traditional tarot, it's a gentleman laying on a coffin. There's 1 sword inlaid in the coffin. There's 3 swords above him on the wall, and he's resting. He almost looks like he's passed away, but it's because he has just completed a really arduous battle and he needs to rest. But with this card, what we can see is that this gentleman is still working. He's not resting. And so the thing that you're really being called to release is your attachment to busyness, your attachment to doing. That, if you have difficulty resting, if you feel some kind of guilt for resting, if you feel like there's always something else you need to do instead of rest, if you can change your mindset to understand that resting is one of the things that you're obligated to do. It's one of the things that needs to be done. Just like Ben likes some rest. He approves. He says, get some rest. Just like we need to eat, we need to exercise, we need to give ourselves compassion and love and kindness, we need to rest as well. So you're being called to release that need to always be busy, to be doing, to be active. You need to take a rest, even if it's 5 minutes. Take 5-10 minutes, sit on the couch, don't do anything, put your phone down, just space out, pet your cat, whatever. The surrender card that I pulled for you is surrender to what is. Flow with what is instead of fighting it. When you can't change a situation, compassionately accepting it exactly as it is will bring you peace. So sometimes when we are busy, we will use busyness as a distraction because we don't want to sit with what is. Because sometimes what is out of our control. Sometimes what is very uncomfortable. Sometimes what is feels like waiting and wanting to skip forward in the movie of our life to when the stuff happens instead of just sitting in the waiting, but until you can surrender to what is, until you can get still and quiet with what is, you won't be able to move on to the really good things, which are the 6 of Pentacles, which is about giving as well as receiving. With this card, 6 is about balance. As we can see, there's a lot of symmetry here, that there's 3 coins here, there's 3 coins here, that while this man is giving to people, he's got the scale here to ensure that he stays in balance. And what that means is that you are learning how to give from your saucer instead of giving from your cup. So the things that he is giving to these people is the excess. This is what he has to give after he's paid his bills, after he's saved a little bit of money, after he's, taken a nap, after he's made sure he's gotten enough sleep. This is the time, energy, money that he's giving from the overflow. So his cup is overflowing into the saucer, and whatever's in the saucer is what he has in excess that he's able to give. And that is what you are being, as this door of busyness and this door of not enough, of scarcity is closing. You're releasing that and you're surrendering to what is. You're going to come into a time when you'll be able to see your abundance, and you'll be able to act out of abundance because you've learned this new way to balance things in your life. Because if we go back to the beginning of the reading, everything is available to you. You can manifest anything that you want. The other card that you are coming into is the Strength card. And this is a number 8 card, which is a number of abundance, and this card is really about making friends with the difficult parts of us, making friends with the shadow parts of us. Like, as we can see, this is a young maiden, and this is a lion. A lion is a wild animal. A lion can't be controlled. It's a predator. It's a hunter, and they're just cuddled up. Like, this is like her own little Ben. You can't see because he's cleaning his tail. But the Strength card, like, we learn strength when we come to love, accept, and nurture the difficult parts of us, the shadow parts of us, whatever you would like to call it. The parts when we can make friends with the parts of us that tell us that we aren't good enough, that there isn't enough. When we can make friends with the parts of us that are working so hard to distract from the things that we don't want to see because it's just a little bit too much. That is where our strength comes in. The Super Attractor card that I pulled for you is, my true safety lies in my capacity to align with the love of the universe. So, alignment is very much about listening. It's very much about listening to our gut, our inner guidance system, listening to determine if what we are hearing is from a place of fear or if it's from a place of abundance and, higher power. When we are able to get into alignment with whatever our truth is, that's when we experience like the peace and love and calmness that like the universe has for us. Yeah, Ben agrees. You agree, buddy? So if you chose card reading number 2, that was your reading. Okay. If you chose card reading number 3, the first card I pulled for you is Deception and Envy. So over the past 2 years of eclipse season, this one really hits home for me. This might be my reading. You've learned a lot about discernment. You've learned that oftentimes people will wear a mask, and the words that they say to you are very much out of alignment with the intentions that they have for you. And this is, it might have been a hard 2 years for you. And I just want to remind you that was for your highest, best good. I was there with you. Because when we go through these lessons of deception and envy, when we learn to see the truth of other people, that's how we connect to source. 7 is a number of God's source spirit. When we are able to see the truth about other people, it helps us to look at the truth about ourselves, and it helps us to develop that discernment muscle. You know, so this was a hard lesson that you went through, but it's not something that you have to learn again. Like once you get this, you get this. The next card that I have for you is the Shadow card. And so this card is a major arcana card. It correlates with the Moon card in the traditional tarot. And as you can see with this shadow, we've got the sun and the moon. We've got the light and the dark, and the scepter that they share. And so this is really a card of duality, understanding that we all have, you know, two sides to us. You know, that we all have this part of ourselves that we love to show, that we love to display in the sun to other people. And then we also have these parts of ourselves that we prefer to keep hidden. And hiding is not always a negative thing. Like hiding doesn't always have to do with deception and envy. Hiding can very much have to do with vulnerability and deciding who deserves to see like those really tender inner parts of us, because not everybody deserves that. Some people only deserve to see this outer part of us that may be a little bit of a performance. And then there are other people that deserve to see this inner part of us. You know, shadow is not always about good versus bad. You know, shadow can be about what we're comfortable sharing and what we hold very dear and intimate for ourselves. And so the number 18 reduces to 9. 1 plus 8 is 9. And this is really a card of completion. You know, that you have come to a place that you really understand fully. You know, you've been able to fully integrate who you are. Granted, we all change. You know, during eclipse season, like there's really rapid change that's happening. But you've learned how to integrate over the last 2 years, like who you be right now. And this is something that's really, really important for us to learn how to be in alignment with ourselves, how to be grounded in ourselves, how to deal with a world that really operates through deception, envy, and masks. That when we can integrate and know ourselves from like a 360 perspective, other people's drama that comes in, it doesn't shake us the way that it would when we didn't know our shadow parts. And the third card I have for you that is about the, you know, the general reading of the eclipse is the crown chakra. So over these last 2 years, your intuition has really, really grown. It's really, really, the thing that comes to mind is like mega boosted, which is a very technical term. But it's just kind of been this explosion. The way that the light is kind of coming out of this, you know, chakra, this lotus image, like that's really what's happened for you. Your intuition, your connection to source, like your clarity, like your ability to really see the truth of things, has really magnified and boosted over this last 2 years. And that's going to be so important for where you're going. You know, there's a lot of light workers, starseeds, whatever term you want to call it. Like there's a lot of people that are being called forward. Their gifts are being activated because there's big changes that need to happen. There's a lot of dark being brought to the light, and you know, the dark coming to the light isn't where the healing happens. You know, like when the dark comes to the light and things are exposed, it's very difficult for some of us to see those dark things for the truth of what they are. For example, there's a lot of stuff in the news about child trafficking, sex trafficking, and how, you know, like the movie industry, the entertainment industry has a lot to do with it. And that's really hard for people to reconcile. It's hard to see that, you know, the people that you've watched for decades on TV and in movies are associated with human trafficking, sex trafficking, child trafficking. And so, you know, if you're watching this card reading, you are one of the healers. You're one of the people that's being called forward to help those that are not as awake, but are very much aware, to reconcile this disparity in the world, you know, because you've been able, I mean, disparity is just, you know, a huge difference, like two, I don't want to say oppositions, but two things that don't seem to go together. Disparity is is just that, like these two things that don't go together, and being able to really, I don't want to say consolidate, you know, because we don't just lump those things together, but being able to acknowledge, to integrate, to accept that it's okay that there's this disparity. It's okay that there's two contradicting things. Like, we're not all one thing, and that, you know, that it's okay for you to acknowledge, understand, and believe that some of these celebrities were involved in, you know, this child trafficking, and not want to, you know, put more money into the entertainment industry because you don't want to support that, but still to have a favorite movie that had one of these people in it. You know, as healers, as light workers, we have big work to do in helping people reconcile what they thought the world was with what they're seeing the world really is. So that was your general reading for the course of the 2 years of the eclipse, you know, cycle that we went through. So the things that you are being called to release are temperance. And so I feel like this is really the inability to create your own balance. Temperance is really about how we see this woman, and she's pouring a little bit of this cup into this cup and back and forth. It's the process of tempering something, to have a little bit of this poured into a little bit of that so they can mix together. But, you know, as we talked about, this difficulty in reconciling opposites, you're being really called to learn how to temper things, you know, and to release that inability to temper things. Like, if you've been through this integration, now is the time to release this mindset that, this mindset of division, this mindset of disparity. Yeah. The next card that I have for you is the Page of Pentacles. And so, you know, this woman's putting money in her bag, and this card is really calling you to, you know, release that fear of there not being enough, you know, release that fear of even receiving, you know, yeah, the receiving feels really, it feels a little bit uncomfortable. And so as people that are light workers, there's a lot of discomfort around money for our gifts, taking money for our gifts, you know. And so this is not so much like, how much do I charge, but is it okay for me to receive this? Because with our gifts, like, we didn't have to earn them. We didn't have to struggle to get them. We didn't have to go to years of school to, you know, really kind of harness and use them. And so this Page of Pentacles is letting you know that, like, it's okay to receive, because the people that are choosing to give to you have the right to choose to do whatever they want with their money. You know, this is not a card of like, this isn't a card of like, don't be greedy. This is really kind of calling your attention to, like, allow yourself to receive whatever is given to you, because somebody gave this to her, right? There's no money growing on these little plants. Like, we don't see someone there, but someone gave this to her, and she's choosing to accept it and put it into her purse. And so that's what you're being called to do. Release that inability to receive. Release whatever it is that says that you're not good enough, or that it's not okay, or that you didn't deserve it. The surrender card I pulled for you is surrender negative thinking. So you have control over your thoughts. When negative thoughts surface, say thank you for sharing, and quickly refocus on positive affirmations. And so this negative thinking can be negative self-talk. It can be, you know, you didn't deserve that. You can't keep it. Thank you. What is it? Thank you for sharing, and you just let it go. This could be, you know, you really need to do more of this and less of that. Thank you for sharing. Let's keep it moving. So surrender negative thinking. The things that you're bringing in are this Five of Pentacles. So we have this person who is just, they're on the ground, you know, they're in front of they're in front of this church, and they're really just kind of in this place of really deep need, but they don't see that there's a shelter right behind them. There's these doors, you know, and I feel like a church is like the perfect example of that, because in, you know, the traditional creation, the traditional intention behind many churches was to be a place of service in the community, to be a place of safety, to be a place where people could come together and break bread. You know, that's not really the churches that we know today, but the thing that's coming for you is the ability, and it's not funny because this woman really, you know, she kind of, I guess we could take it one of two ways. We could take it that she's really suffering, or we can take it that she's in gratitude. Thank you so much that I've come upon this place that that I can go into for safety. You know, 5 in numerology is about change and freedom, and that, you know, you're really being called to change the way that you approach difficulty. That that you will change the way that you approach difficulty when things are hard. All you need to do is look around and see that the universe is provided for you. The other thing that's coming in for you is the 8 of Cups. And so, you know, cups are about love and energy. And so we've got this woman who's really just kind of strolling along, and she's got all these cups here. You know, she's not clinging to them. She's not guarding them. She's not worried about them. She's just kind of walking along, living her life, knowing that there's this abundance of love around her. 8 is the number of abundance, and it's the number of infinity. You know, you look at it and it's an infinity symbol. And so the thing that is coming to you is, you know, as you can learn to be grateful for what is around you, you're just going to be getting more and more and more. There's just going to be more and more that comes in. You know, because we can't see, you know, kind of off screen, we can't see how many other cups are over here. Just like where she's going, we don't know how many other cups there are. It's just an abundance. You know, we've got the sun and the moon here. Just abundance. It's the more grateful you can be, the more is going to come to you. And the super attractor card I pulled for you is when I introduce joy to a situation, I change the vibrational frequency of what's around me. So, you know, with this girl, she really looks like she's kind of in this like calm delight, nothing to worry about. When you can focus on joy, when you can allow joy to come in, when you can receive the joy that's there, there's just going to be more and more of it. There's just going to be an abundance of it, you know, that anytime that things are difficult, you know, anytime that things feel difficult, you can introduce the feeling of joy. You can call on the feeling of joy. You can ask for spirit to help you to feel joy that you've experienced before, and that will shift so many things for you, like internally and externally. So that was card reading number 3. I hope that you enjoyed the reading. I hope that you have a wonderful full moon lunar eclipse. It will be visible from North America, so I hope that you get to kind of get a sneak peek of that. It'll be viewable on July 4th at 12:44. So hopefully there's not too many fireworks where you're at, that you'll be able to see it. And yeah, we've been through a lot over the last 2 years. We've been through a lot over the last few months. And I just want to remind you that this is all for our highest good. Even though it feels scary, you know, even though it doesn't make sense, that this is all for our highest, best good. And, you know, that there are good things that are coming for you, you know, that you don't have to worry about the future, that, you know, that you are safe and that you are loved, you know, by a higher power, and that, you know, you can call in joy anytime to change the way a situation feels for you. So I hope you enjoyed the reading. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed Ben. You want to say bye, Ben? Do you want to say bye, buddy? Come on. No? You want to say bye? Come on. Let's say bye, buddy. You want to say bye to people? Okay. Say bye, everybody. I'm Ben. I was sleepy. Okay, I hope you guys have a great full moon eclipse and a safe 4th of July. And we'll see you guys later.